Good evening and welcome to this another edition of the Republican debate. The Republican debate on the Republican television with Republican panelists on Camden's television. And of course, with me here in studio, we have men of substance and men of caliber. I'll begin with him. He is the national, the vice president of the National Youth Council. They call him Prince Kingdom. Prince Kingdom, you are welcome to the program.
Thank you, Mr. Clarkson, and good evening. I also want to salute my faithful panelists as well. And I want to extend my heartfelt condolences to the Chadian community in general, and I also want to extend my condolences to the family of Honorable Emilia Lifaka, who just passed by and passed on to glory, and she was recommended to be one of the first females in parliament, and she has created a good reputation when it comes to...
She was one of the vice presidents.
Yeah, to feminism in politics, and I want to applaud her for that. And I also want to salute our faithful viewers. I want to salute my son, Lucius, who's watching right from Bamenda in Ground Zero.
Yakubu Sango of the CPTM party. He is of the communication unit. How are you, sir? Good evening and welcome to the Republican debate.
Good evening, Mr. Deby Clarkson. Good evening to my co-panelists, and good evening to all the viewers of Camden's television and to all the CPDM militants that are watching this Pan-African television.
How is the CPDM doing?
The CPDM is doing great. Just of recent, we were on the terrain to renew our basic organs. You know, the CPDM elites, those who were elected during the past elections, always go after parliamentary session in order to give the feedback to those who voted them, so that they should be aware of what the effort they are doing for them, and to keep that interrelationship between the citizens and their elected elites.
It's true that we have the CPS and we could have the SDF here because Prince Kingdom, the SDF is waxing well.
Yeah, the SDF is waxing well, and we are preparing for our next convention, which will be coming up in probably some 2 years to come, and a lot of things are going to change. The SDF is bouncing back. The SDF is bouncing back.
It's so that on the 26th of May, you will have a celebration to make because it's the date of the birthday of your party. Yeah, exactly. It was created on the 26th of May, 1990.
Yeah, exactly, and that is also the birthday for democracy in Cameroon and freedom of speech. It's a double event, you know.
It's true that we shall be talking Christian Cardinal to me at the start of this program. But then, before then, can we have this report, the report of Bertrand Sita, the report?
Of Cameroon drastically. The Guardian Post captions, Biya maintains Elinia Cavalier as the president.
Indeed, a priest for all seasons, a man of visibly great piety and prayer, although steeped and... Indeed, a priest for all seasons, a man of visibly great piety and prayer, although steeped and well-versed in arts, theology, history, culture, and philosophy, this icon of priesthood never claimed to be omniscience.
I want to thank him for all that is done. Eminent people, learned people have described the Cardinal in no mistaken terms. I just want to thank God for his life, for what he did, and pray that as he's gone, other younger people should emulate what he did and follow in the same footsteps.
He, however, never shied away from speaking the truth to kings, princes, and plebs. He advocated for global peace, especially that of the country affecting the two English-speaking regions.
He has consecrated his life for our well-being in Cameroon, in Africa. We thank God for this gift, and we hope to continue this fight for the values, for the gospel, for the new Cameroon.
Eminence Christian Cardinal Tumi was born in 1930 in Kikaikilaiki, Bui division of the Northwest region. was first sworn in as priest in 1966, made bishop in 1979, created a cardinal in 1988 by Pope John Paul II, and went on retirement in 2009. The funeral mass to bid farewell to the priesthood icon, Christians were challenged to live a God-fearing life, run a good race, fight a good fight so as to benefit their rewards on the judgment day. The head of state, President Paul Biya, was personally represented by the Prime Minister, head of government, Chief Dr. Joseph John Gotti. He leaves behind the family, the Bansok community, the entire nation and the Roman Catholic family to mourn him.
Le Père, le Fils et le Saint-Esprit.
Yeah, welcome back. Can we have on the screen Cardinal Tumi? Cardinal Tumi, of course, passes on. We can say that the state finally has recognized Cardinal Tumi by sending Prime Minister Chief Dr. Joseph John Gotti to represent the President of the Republic. I want to believe that we can say at this level that the government of Cameroon has recognized the efforts of Cardinal Tumi.
Clarkson, I have another way of interpreting it. If the government really deemed Cardinal Tumi to who they claim he is now after his demise, they should have supported his initiative of the all Anglophone come together for a lasting solution to the Anglophone crisis. I think he's gone now, and I don't think there should be an opportunity again for somebody to come up that bold to take that initiative. And I think the government should not just wait to applaud people when they are gone. They should applaud and support their initiative when they are alive. If probably Cardinal Tumi, when he was alive, the government has supported his initiative, he should have been going much more happier than he is right now, because I think he's not happy living now because there is an objective he wanted to attain and he probably left without attaining it. So I think the glory the government is giving him right now is recommendable to an extent to me.
It's true that a 400 pages document was deposited that he wrote. He deposited that document at the Prime Minister's office. Can we say that at this juncture, I want to believe that at the Prime Minister's office, they are looking at the document, even before he's passing away?
I believe that document was not deposited yesterday or some 2 days ago. That document had been deposited long ago, even when he came up with the initiative for the all Anglophone come together. And if they had deemed it necessary going through that document, they should have supported the initiative, because the document also carried the initiative on how to resolve the Anglophone crisis, the way forward per se. And if he's gone, what is the pilot, the pioneer pilot that understands the document and the measures that need to be taken for what was written on the document to be implemented? I think for me it's a no-go area anymore since she's gone. That book is probably our generation is going to go through it to see.
So what is the symbol behind the representative of the President of the Republic, the presence of Joseph John Gotti at this ceremony? It's very symbolical.
It's symbolical administratively. As regard the Catholic Church, Cardinal Tumi as well could be classified a minister as well. He's a state official, he's an authority. So the Prime Minister or even the head of state being there is probably, for me, an obligation. They were supposed to be there. He's a personality. He's not any commoner on the street. So for me, it's no call for alarm, because Joseph John Gotti could have been there also in person, if not even as a Prime Minister, head of government, because he's somebody he respects to in person.
Okay. Yakubu, the presence of Prime Minister at the burial ceremony of Cardinal Tumi, can we say that is quite symbolical, that the government has finally recognized the efforts of Tumi?
The government has not finally recognized the effort of Tumi. The government recognized Tumi ever since he was still alive, because when we look at the major national dialogue, for example, he was at the head of one of the commission, and
the commission of refugees.
I think it was commission number 6.
Yes.
For somebody who was not recognized, how come that the government gave him the responsibility to be at the head of one of the commission? It really shows at that time that the government, and there was a tour that was organized in the 2 regions. I think one of those that was led also by Cardinal Tumi, which means that at that time the government already recognizes that he was one of the key members that could gather, because he was somebody, a man of God is somebody who works for peace. A man of God is somebody who is there for stability and peace, and that is just what Cardinal Tumi was doing. And we think that the government was not obliged to send the prime minister, but it is because of the value that the head of state, the government had for him, because it's not only any personality, or it does not suffice to be a man of God for the prime minister. Many men of God are dying and online, but the government is not represented. I think that if the prime minister had been sent there, it shows the value Cardinal Tumi had in front of the government.
He headed the Commission for Refugees during the national dialogue. So we can say that the government has not only recognized, it's not recognizing Tumi, but today, ever since.
Yes.
Clarkson recognizing me and not taking my advice, it makes no sense. It's rather you take my advice and you don't recognize me, because even on his dying bed, the propositions he made up till now have not been taken into consideration. If they had been taken into consideration, it means they held him in portfolio and they believed his decisions or his own point of view counts. Like I said again, if Cardinal Tumi was well reputable enough and respected by this reputable government, they should have supported his initiative for the all come together, Anglophone all come together, which I believe that was one of the way forwards in fast resolving the Anglophone crisis. But the government did not support him in that initiative, because if they did, the conference should have been history now, and we should have had good impacts in that. And it's always the African culture of when somebody is gone, that's when they recognize that person. But when the person is alive, they don't recognize the efforts of that person. I will want to say, to me, even if the head of state or whosoever was there did they recognize his impact in the society as regards the Anglophone crisis, and were his resolutions taken into recommendation, and were they applicable? That is where my point of view, that is where my vision lies, and not in his personality as a person.
Mr. Tabi Clarkson, I would like to say here that Cardinal Tumi he was at the head of the All Anglophone Conference, as the my co-panelists already said. But what was the issue was that the government did not want that each region, because when we are talking of well-being of Cameroon, and the government just wanted that a general conference should be organized for all the entire nation, because not only the northwest or the southwest has problem, many other regions. You can go to the east region, you can even go to the south region, which is the region of the.
Do you think the problems that we have in the east are the same problems we have in the southwest and northwest?
Let me tell you something, Mr. Tabi Clarkson. For example, have been in the east region, and I've even been in the south region. Let me tell you that the southwest, for example, is more developed than many of these regions, truly speaking. But the southwest region, those are facts. If you go the level of development in the southwest region and in the Adamawa and all, like, it's really different. But it does not. That's why the government just wanted that, okay, a conference should be organized, but it should be organized at the national level, whereby about close to 70% of the issue discussed during the major national dialogue concern the 2 other regions, but there should be at least a certain percentage for the 8 other regions. I think that was the point. That is accepting. That's why the main actor, one of the main actors of that dialogue, was Cardinal Tumi, and the document he forwarded even before, I think it was before the dialogue, that is the 400 pages document, was clearly exploited. And at this time in point, when we look at all the resolution of the major national dialogue, almost all of them have been implemented. And when we look at the immediate causes of the uprising,
so you are saying the views of Cardinal Tumi have been taken into consideration by the government?
He was clearly taken into consideration by the government, but unfortunately, on his efforts to bring back stability in our nation, he was instead, we were shocked to see that he was kidnapped by the secessionist fighters and kept under terrible, inhuman situations. Because when we look at somebody aged 89 to 90, like our cardinal, who at a certain age have certain drugs he needed to be taken, and when you are somebody like that is kidnapped and kept in certain conditions for close to 1 or 24 hours without taking maybe his drugs, and with that psychological, it's not easy. We think that maybe though that is even one of the results. That is even one of the this thing that resulted to his death, because
Tabi, when he was talking, I was amazed, because he has trapped his CPDM muggles, and at the same time, when he talks about development, we have what we call administrative development and individual development. And I want to call your attention that the Northwest region had been termed at one time before the Anglophone crisis started what the most developing regions in Central Africa. It's not because of the government, it is because of individuals. Even in the Southwest, the development in the Southwest is not because of CPDM or the government.
It's not the CPDM making.
It is not CPDM doing it. It's the Anglophones, are the individuals developing their own region. And let me tell you something, Mr. Tabi Clarkson. The Cameroon government has a scenario of which was still implemented in the national dialogue. There was a situation. Why don't they say, okay, you will not say James has a problem, and instead of solving James's problem, you take Miranda and Mabel to come and ask to solve their problem together. They don't have the same problems. He is saying that the recommendations of the national dialogue had been, which of them have been taken? You are talking about Cardinal Tumi, 400 pages. Did you go through his book? If I ask you what the first 5 pages of Cardinal Tumi's book is talking about,
did you go through the book?
When I talk, you talk. Yes, I went through the book. When you say they have been taken into consideration, no, that book is a book that speaks of blotter truth, and that truth is what the government does not want to hear.
Special status is in the book.
It's even federation in the book, not even special status. What special status to Cardinal Tumi when he was alive? It's federation. We went into federation. Even the national dialogue, they have been turning around with the recommendation, going up and down with the recommendation.
Did you agree with me that Cardinal Tumi was at the head of one of the caravans that were turning the Northwest in order to explain the advantages of the special status?
Exactly.
Do you agree with me?
And let me give you. This is the administrative. This is administration. Even if they had people who had to be selected, there was the religion, there were the traditionals. And Cardinal Tumi at the Catholic Church is the helm of the Catholic mission. We have the Presbyterians aware. He was leading them. It's not by magic that Cardinal Tumi was selected to go through that. He was part of the commission. He was heading the commission at the National Dialogue. I was there.
If he was selected, it means that he was recognized by the government.
Of course, I was at the National Dialogue at Commission 8 that had to talk about decentralization.
I mean that he was for the special status.
I know the propositions that we discussed there. I know what was done. It was being exited. We said we needed federation. That is what a lot of people are talking in here.
But
the person in charge, who is Honorable West,
Prince, the cardinal was for federation, as you said.
Yes.
He supported the special status.
He went for the sensitization of the special status.
Listen, no, when he supported the special status, what are the contents? His problem too was, what is the content? You understand? At a certain level at the national dialogue, Honorable West said, let us look for a different word. Let us not use federation. Let's look for a different word that will replace federation, but the content will be federation. So Cardinal Tumi believed in what was to the content of federation, of special status, was to be federation, and he believed in it. But when we go through what has been implemented as of now, it is not still what he had in the back of his mind.
Yakubu, you just followed what Prince said a while ago.
Because he said Cardinal Toumé had nothing to do with the special status. Somebody who went out for the
No, don't quote me wrong. Mr. Deby Jackson, is that what I've said, that he had nothing to do?
Wait.
Let me repeat again.
Okay, I clearly listen to you. It is to say that Cardinal Toumé at a certain time, at a certain moment, even though he was for federalism, but at a certain moment, when he looked at the content of what the special status was all about, he, as a matured person, decided to join the government in order to make the population aware, to create awareness among the population on the importance of the special status to the population in the northwest and in the southwest region. As a man of God, as a truthful person, he carried his leg and he headed one of the.
Cardinal Toumé was a patriot, eh?
He was a patriot. He loved his country.
nation.
That's why even when he was captured, he told. We all saw the video that was on social media where he clearly said, "All of us are Cameroonians, even though there are some problems that has to be solved. We are all Cameroonians." He clearly said it.
We are all Cameroonians.
Tabi,
yes.
When we talk of special status, Cameroon has this tendency of always rushing into, how do I put it, rushing into systems without getting expert on implementation. A lot of them, they spoke about special status because it's been implemented in Canada. Look at what Canada is running. Canada is running a special status which is federation, complete federation. But you run your activities, you do what you have to do, and you give a rapport to the central government. But in Cameroon, who is the Secretary General?
Of what?
Of what?
Of the regional council. He's still appointed. And when you are appointed, what happened? You owe the person who appointed you to give a rapport on what is going. That is a spy. And according to the Cameroon system, the Secretary General is the machine. He is still the system that operates.
Please, the Secretary General
the
is
special
there
status is
to
like you sell a goat.
observe.
It's like you sell a goat and you hold a rope, Mr. Deby Jackson. If they had said, okay, we need a post of a Secretary General, and the Secretary General still passes through election, who is an independent body, I will say, okay, we are heading to something genuine. But when the Secretary General is still appointed, he must pay allegiance to who appointed him, and the job on the ground will not be done as the people want it to be done.
He is not there to intervene in the running of the regional council. He is only there as the person who is going to collect information for at the eyes of the government, giving the special
sir, that is not
in the
the
regional
job of the secretary.
Please, it does not mean that we have the regional bureau.
I've done, and he is the Secretary General of the regional bureau.
We have the regional bureau.
He is the mechanical juju. He works all the technical jobs, and if he's given instruction that this is what you have to do on this document, he does it.
The fundamental thing with the special status or decentralization is that development will start from bottom to top. It will not be this type of system whereby projects will only be think at the level of ministries. To build a school in a locality, regional councillors can therefore think and look at their own problem. What do we need? They will sit together and analyze the problems of their society.
And what is that spy doing there? In Nigeria, even in Canada.
Nigeria is a federal government.
Yes.
It's a federal state.
Is there an SG appointed by
it's not a United States.
Is there a Secretary General in each of the states appointed by Buhari? No. Is the governor in charge? And he renders report to the central government.
Okay. It's true that we are not talking the special status today. It's true that we are talking special status because at one moment you raised the issue of special status, saying that Cardinal Toumé actually supported that. But now, what can you say about Cardinal Toumé as we are concluding on this issue? He was laid to rest on Tuesday in Douala.
Cardinal Toumé lived a happy life. He lived a 90% accomplished life, because if he knew he was to die the next day and he's been asked this question that how did you live, he's going to tell you I lived a 90% accomplished life, because for me and for what I've been following up about Cardinal Toumé and on what I know about him, his theology, his mentality was a peaceful Cameroon before he dies. Was a Cameroon where he could go to Kumbu, he could go to Kom, he could go to Mkambe and all those places without meeting some innocent brainwashed youths holding some long sticks in their hands, asking him to stand by, to kneel down the same way they did to the national chairman. He is not the only one who've gone through brutality. Nijon Prunzi went through that same brutality. You saw it. And he told them point blank, Cameroon is one and indivisible. There is a problem. To solve that problem is not this way you people are taking it. A lot of Anglophones stood by that. The only people who memed with the whole story are the CPGM people because they have a reason for that.
Toumé also stood for that. One and indivisible Cameroon.
Yeah, but with genuine objectives. Equal opportunity for all.
It's true that Nijon Fundi was at the burial ceremony.
Yeah.
A way to say that the SDF equally recognizes Toumé.
The SDF had always recognized Toumé. The national chairman, His Excellency Nijon Fundi, always spoke with Cardinal Toumé on phone and even on emails, on WhatsApp, on the way forward. And they all had the same vision. They had a vision of a united Cameroon, but with equal opportunity for Francophones and Anglophones, with the national cake being divided equally and everybody being happy. Same ideology I have in me. But that ideology, some of the CPGM elites don't want that because of their greed and selfishness. Because they want to play the boy to the head of state, not to tell them the honest truth of what is going on. They don't want to say, Your Excellency, at this point in time, we believe Cameroon needs to take a different dimension. We need to observe things the way the SDF have been saying, the way the Cardinal has been talking about it. It's not about holding guns. It's not about running behind these boys in the bushes. We have parents in Yaoundé, we have parents in Bamenda who have that capability, who can go talk to those guys and give them reasons why they need to come out from the bushes, and they are seeing reasons why they need to come out. For example, Mr. Deby Clarkson, some of those guys in the bushes which will put our heads on the machine that they could even cut them off, talking to them to come out from the town. Look at what is happening in the DDR right now. If you are one of those boys in the bush, will you come out from the bush? What is happening to the young guys in the DDR? They are still there, rather being frustrated. If the administration had taken rapid decisions and resolutions to integrate these guys in the system and to make them feel happy, they will also call their brothers that come out. This thing is a genuine something. It's real. They are there for 3 years. Look at what is happening in the southwest.
Okay.
CGR always broken the streets.
SDF has recognized, has always recognized Toumé. That is
exactly.
That is what we are retaining. CPGM
exactly. Toumé was a patriot, and we pray that other stakeholders, other leaders should take the courage of Toumé and accompany the government in solving these crisis that is ongoing in the northwest and southwest for a better Cameroon and for Cameroon to come back into peace and stability. May the soul of the Cardinal once more rest in perfect peace.
It's true that we on Camp Days during 48 hours we organize a series of programs on behalf of Cardinal Toumé. Programs were dedicated to him, and of course today we have taken 30 minutes again to talk Cardinal Toumé. May the soul of the Cardinal continue to rest in peace.
Amen.
He was a peaceful man, a man of justice, a man who stood for justice, a man who stood for peace. We say thank you. And of course, we are now moving on to our very first topic of the day. We are talking Idriss Deby Itno of Chad. He was actually killed the other day. I think it was on Tuesday or Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken. And of course, what will become now of Boko Haram? The fight against terrorism in the sub-region. Idriss Deby gone. Idriss Deby is gone. We can say it's bad news, not only for Chad, but equally for Cameroon.
Deby Clarkson, we should be asking ourselves this other rhetorical question. Who is financing Boko Haram? Who is in charge of Chad? Who is in charge of all the French colonies in Africa? That is where the problem lies. For me, the problem was not even Idriss Deby. I have a serious problem now with what happened next. Because Idriss Deby, if you had followed him carefully, was somebody who was respectful to the French government. At the early days of his mandate, he was respectful, but at a certain point in time, Idriss Deby said, no, I will have to protect the interests of Chad. I will live and die to protect Chad. And he started contesting some of the evil of the French colonialism in Africa. He started talking ill about them, making his people to understand that they could change things their own way, and that is where his downfall came from. Idriss Deby is not the only one who suffered this. There are a lot of African presidents who were colonized, that their countries were colonized by France, and if you have realized, each president that wants to stand up against France to say, no, enough is enough, we have to handle things our own way, is where your downfall start coming from. It has happened in Libya. You know the story of Libya. And before it, let me tell you, let us be realistic. Do you think the head of state, they say he died in the war front, even the generals, you know, do you think a general lead the war by standing in front? He's in command. He sent them in front because he knows they need to protect him in order to give command. So when they say Idriss Deby died in the war front, that is not, for me, and from what I've observed, it's not true.
You are the one saying so.
Yeah, it's not true, because from information that I also had, yes, Idriss Deby went to the war front to encourage his fighters, and he went back to the palace. Something happened at the palace. That is where everything will happen, was planned. And I'm not afraid to say France know what happened to Idriss Deby. And once you stop being respectful to France, believe me, even in this country, if we start facing France, highest we have is some few days and things will change. But what I want to say is, let Kaka, the son, whom I believe have still been groomed by the France to say, look at what your dad did, we don't want that, we want you to do this. Let him take that same bold step of his father and liberate his people from that new colonialism that has been controlled by France.
Yakubu, Idriss Deby.
Yeah, I got the news. I was shocked when I got the news of Idriss Deby. You know, after the death of Gaddafi, Idriss Deby was the father of Africa. Because in the fight against terrorism, being it in the J5 Sahel, in Mali, in Niger, and all the Lake Chad basin, Chadian soldiers were highly engaged in the protection and in the pushing away of terrorism. That's why destabilizing a country like Chad, who has borders with close to 10 countries, would be very dangerous for Africa in general, because a country like Chad, if rebel groups are developed in that country, it will be a problem, because at this time in point, for example, we don't know exactly the position of Boko Haram, and whether with the death of Idriss Deby, we don't know whether the new leaders will still allow the Chadian soldiers to continue fighting Boko Haram in the Lake Chad basin. We are therefore waiting that if the Chadian government decide to withdraw their own armed forces in this basin, it will be very difficult for the Cameroonian forces and all the other, even though it is a joint task, but only the Chadian army, if they are withdrawn in this situation, it will be very difficult. We also have to look at the immediate consequences that have already started. We saw during the period that it was on Monday, these days, thousands of refugees running away from Jamena and entering Kusewi.
Many people are fleeing already.
That is a video for 2008. That is not a video for 2021. Please, that's fake news.
I don't really know the sources of your information, because you first of all said
are people not leaving Jamena
for Kusewi?
The video he's talking about, please, people crossing the bridge, is a video for 2008. It's not a video for 2021.
Please, I don't know where you listen you took your own information, but I can tell you at this time in point that many people are running away from Jamena to Kuseri, which is the first Cameroonian locality, and many vehicles transporting the Chadian goods that is from the port of Douala are still packed at Kuseri borders, because the borders actually presently were closed, were locked.
But have been opened back.
Was locked, and as a result, many vehicles transporting the charging goods were already parked at Kuseri. That is to say that it is a very if the situation comes to be worse in the area, it will highly affect Cameroon, because a country like Cameroon, who already have refugees from Central Africa, from Nigeria, if we still have to take other refugees coming from Chad, it will really be a huge burden for the government. And even at the level of small jobs that exist at that level, that's how the jobs will be. There will be now there will be a scramble for those jobs, and poverty and the level of instability will be rising. And I would like just to say that at this time in point, many Africans have not yet understood that creating conflict benefits but to the white men. For example, now there is an instability, and the French president was there. He said he would do everything possible in order to protect Chad. When saying doing everything possible to protect Chad, is it for nothing? No, it's not for nothing. And that's how we keep on killing ourselves, but other people are enjoying.
The presence of Macron in Chad during the burial ceremony of Idriss Deby. Can we say that Chad and France, they are very good friends?
Yeah, Chad, when you look at the country, the way there is an independent country with a military, a French military base, it will say, because Chad is one of the focal points where all the French military are stationed. It is from Chad that they intervene in all the other African countries. It means that at this time in point, Chad was a really a good partner of France, even though these last times the relationship of France with many many of his former colonies is not really fluent, is not really prosperous as it used to be. We saw it with Central Africa, for example, where Russia have also entered into the game, and data have really been is really changing for France. That's why I think that's why Macron quickly came for the death of the president.
Macron.
Some little bit of clarifications. Normally, when the head of state dies, there is always some chaos, and diplomacy, immediately that information comes in, they block their borders. That is to protect some unnecessary coup d'etat or something like that. And that is exactly what Chad did. And that was correct.
Normal, it was normal.
It was very normal. But the video, people crossing into Cameroon and all that, that's a video for 2008 which had washed. And for him saying people were coming is very possible. But my problem was that video. That video was not a video for 2021.
You talk of fake, being fake.
Yeah, and again, keeping a side chick doesn't mean you love her more than your wife at home. So for Macron to be in France immediately, it doesn't mean he was there because he lost France. He lost Chad. He's there for his interest.
Yes.
He's there for his interest. He knows what he was there for. And probably, like I'm saying it, probably he was there to tell him, you've seen what we did, right? So you watch out. You stand by the game, or we put you out entirely, then another one comes in. With that threat and that fear, you are bound to respect. There are head of states, which I will not want to index names here because I fear the unknown, who want to do things different, who love their country. They want to change. They want to tell France, enough is enough. But they know the repercussion. They know the consequences. Instead of doing that, they say, okay, good. Let me buy my own head. And like I said, Gaddafi, when he stood against France,
he was killed on the battlefront to Gaddafi.
You see? And when you look exactly what happened to Gaddafi, it was at a battlefront. It was not a battlefront. And when you look in Chad, I have contacts in Chad. I have people who work with the youth council in Chad. I talk with them every day. I said, Président, notre président était là-bas pour encourager ces gars et il a rentré. Ce qui s'est passé au palais, c'était pas au... And if you look at, since you've not seen any communique that the general signed that the head of state died with 4,000 or 5,000 soldiers. If you can look, you'll see a video parading the social media with bombs running. Can that type of a bomb go and take only the president? There was the bomb classified just to meet Idriss Deby. They should have shown us a video of 1,000 military people that have been washed down by the bomb. And up till now, no Boko Haram have stand up to say we are the people who shot Idriss Deby, who've done this, who've done this. So there is some mafiaism behind the whole scene, and I still say it. France knows what happened.
Do you share that opinion,
No,
Yakubu?
I don't share that opinion. We clearly know that according to the spokesperson,
The official source.
the official sources, they said he was injured in the northern part of Chad during exchanges with Weber, that is gunshot, and he was mortally wounded, and he was brought back to the capital where he finally succumbed from the injuries. Yes, that is the official sources. Since we are not in Chad and on social media we have many versions, it is better at a certain moment to keep the official version of the authorities, which are the authorities, that is the general, the spokesman of the army, the spokesperson who gave this version. For now, I think that is the official version that happened. But for me, I think it was a lesson. It was a lesson because at a certain moment, at a certain age,
A lesson.
it was a lesson because somebody like Idriss Deby, was it necessary for him to go again on the war front? I don't think so, because he has been fighting wars, he has been going in battles for so long. But at a certain age,
A marshal, that's how he was.
yes, a marshal.
I don't instead buy that point.
It
of
was
view.
not necessary. I think that it was not necessary this time around for him to leave the presidency again to go there, because the number of soldiers and the number of generals that were on the war front, I think it was enough. It was sufficient for them in order to.
Maybe he went there to galvanize the boys.
Anyway,
Was it not important for him to galvanize the boys?
The galvanization is not only at the level of being present. We are seeing here in Cameroon, for example, the Cameroonian military are always galvanized, but it does not mean that each minute the head of state is going there. No, there are several ways of galvanizing.
One of the last.
There are several ways of galvanizing Cameroonian military.
Deby, he asked that question: where on earth have you seen the head of state going to the war front? Idriss Deby, have been doing it. And if you follow up his previous war fronts, Idriss Deby is never in front. He's not the first person. He's a war marshal. He knows where to position himself that is safe and give his instructions. So that is why I'm saying a war marshal like Idriss Deby could not be so stupid to be in front to receive any bullet that is coming forefront.
Okay, now let's come back to this fight of Boko Haram. After the passing away of Deby, how will this battle look like?
It is just the name or the head of state that has changed in Chad. The administrative mechanisms and their diplomacies and everything still stand. Chad still has the technician excellency Paul Biya, who's always been there to support them. A lot of head of states always come to Paul Biya for advice because he's one of the lasting ones that has always witnessed what has happened. He has the techniques and everything on place. And Idriss Deby, the son Kaka, who is taking over, notwithstanding, believe me, probably no time to go. He's going to come here to come and seek for that anciennité advice from Paul Biya. And Paul Biya being in place, Idriss Deby is still in place because the Chadian army and the Cameroon army has always been fighting Boko Haram together. So it is just one person who've changed, but the system still remains.
The fight continues against Boko Haram, Chad and Cameroon.
Yeah, it continues. My problem, Tabi, is not even Boko Haram. Who is financing them?
Financing who?
The Boko Haram. We have countries like Cameroon government that withstands war for 3 years is already limping financially. We have the Chadian government that withstand wars too, is already limping financially. And these guys have no measures for tax, to raise tax. They have no measures, they have no natural resources they sell. They have nothing to regenerate income. Who is financing them? I still turn back to look at the people I've been calling, and my brother is telling me not to call. That is where I say Boko Haram is being manipulated by some people, and when they send them there to cause confusion, they now tell Chad that you need us, you need our army to block these people not to come in and take their country in exchange of this. We have countries like Nigeria too that have marshals that they sell soldiers to go fight war. Those are people who negotiate. We have warlords who negotiate. They tell you, I have 1,000 soldiers. Each soldier is this, and you do this. So it happens. Our main problem we need to look in. Who are the people sustaining Boko Haram up till date?
The fight against Boko Haram after the passing of Deby?
Yes, I'm really afraid. I'm really afraid because even though a new administration has been taken by the former regime, but we have to know that Muhammad Idriss Deby is not Idriss Deby. He may come alongside with his own policy. Maybe he may decide and ask himself, why is it that Chadian soldiers are fighting in Mali, in all these zones, and decide to bring his soldiers back, maybe for better security, to better secure his yes, and secure his territory, because you cannot have your territory cannot be threatened. Meanwhile, you have soldiers fighting in Mali and all over Africa for nothing. I think that if that comes to happen, really Boko Haram may highly gain ground again, and the demilitarization of Cameroonians, because they found out many people already saw that Boko Haram was really diminished, and some Cameroonian soldiers were already being caught. But I think that at this time in point, things have really changed, and we have to remilitarize that zone in order
Idriss
to make
Deby has really been a good ally,
yes,
a reliable
really,
ally against Boko Haram.
Because before the entry of Idriss Deby into the fight against Boko Haram, I want to say here that the Cameroonian army and the Nigerian army were really suffering into the hands of these people. Because, for example, I'll take the example of Cameroonian army, that maybe they will take somebody in Kotaba or here in Manaobe and send him in the desert zone when they don't have that good mastery of the desert fight like the Chadian army. That's why when the Chadian army came in with their own energy, with their own tactics, people who have been fighting in the desert for a long while and who have been used to many rebellions, that's why they find it very easy to push away the attacks of Boko Haram than the Nigerian and the Cameroonian army.
Okay, before we conclude on Idriss Deby, can we please have this report, a report of Loom Collect, the report before we actually conclude on this issue of Idriss Deby. Can we have the report?
Good evening. Welcome to the Republican. What the newspaper stand has for us this week. The Horizon says Sonara is most indebted public state company. Minister Asheri Kilo Fonom saw raise Cardinal Tomi to high heavens. Bishop Michael Bibi issues disclaimer on fake Facebook account. BRS resuscitates through Jonathan, Santa's last man standing. Numfoniko Haled pens glowing tribute to Cardinal Tomi, Fako Big 40 COVID-19 vaccine. Cameroon Tribune comes to the issue of COVID-19 and insinuates the implementation of security in order to curb the virus in the country. While the Guardian poll says it's in your interest to live in peace in your host nation. French MP urges AU to discuss Anglophone crisis. Enterprises upgrading office hands international certification to multi-print. Bia says from Mukete's legacy, inspiration for nation building. These were the stories and more you get from the Guardian Post this week. Lejoux speaks about where money is going to and talks about and Coton's product takes second position in their game. Mutation speaks about electricity, which is no longer
and 14 others known to have been part of the late president's circle of loyalties. The council is tasked with an 18-month transition towards free and democratic elections. Friday, April 23, late President Deby was buried in the presence of French President Emmanuel Macron. Evacuations as firefighters battle wildfire in Cape Town. Officials say some residents of Cape Town neighborhoods evacuated as precautionary measures after fire sweeps across the slopes of
Please, can we have our topic on Deby on the screen? We are concluding on Idriss Deby.
Yeah.
Idriss Deby has passed on, and it's important to say that, of course, he was a good friend to Cameroon. He came to power in 1990 after overthrowing Hissène Habré. Can we say that as you come to power, that's how you will leave power?
He who lives by the sword dies by the sword, and there had been rumors some time ago, Mr. Tabi, that his son, the general, had earlier asked him to step down because even the people didn't like his too long stay in power. And I think African leaders should as well learn something. And I want to conclude by saying that war is not always the solution to every problem. Let's go to the issue of Sudan. Sudan had been fighting war for over decades. At the end of the day, they ended up separating in peace. They didn't separate in war. So African leaders should learn from Idriss Deby's errors and also learn from his patriotism, because Idriss Deby as a patriot is one of the most referenced, that will always be referenced in history in Africa, as somebody who had stood for his country, had fought for his country, and had said he was going to die for his country. If it means he should die for his country, and it happened. He has always lived a life defending Chad. All I want to say is I wish his son well, though his son still has all the generals around him who had worked with his father. The absent is just his father and that experience. But if the generals around him who had worked for these 30-something years with his father as well are genuine to him, I don't think Chad is going to have some problems. Probably he's going to pick up on a good footing.
Your last word on Idriss Deby?
There is something that drew my attention especially during the burial ceremony, that the French President Emmanuel Macron was there, but when we look at the CEMAC zone, only one president was represented. Yeah. Ali Bongo sent the Prime Minister, the President of Congo was not around, Equatorial Guinea was not around, Cameroon was not around, only the one of the Central Africa was there. Yeah. But in those days, when the French President was somewhere, all his État-Major was there moving behind him. Yeah. But for this time around, we saw Cameroon, for example, a minister delegate was the one representing the President of the Republic. That is what, in Sassou Nguesso, was not also there. The President of Equatorial Guinea was not there. I see that as a signal, and I think many things have changed.
Many things have changed.
Many things have really.
They are working. Their brains are working now. They are thinking on something.
A French president coming for a ceremony without the CEMAC president following him in the CEMAC zone. I think that's why I observed, and I was really
a signal that that what is happening.
Many data have changed. That's why I took the example of recent that, for example, in Central Africa, we saw how in Russia, for example, has entered the meaning that many France Wayne in his former colony is not more so prosperous as it used to be, because many people are also entering into
the. Are you saying France is no longer France?
Yeah, his wives are starting to think twice. Yeah, his wives are seeing some better husbands out there than him.
In international relation, the person that offers that is international strategy. The person that offers better perspectives deserves the respect. It's not more the former.
Not going to Jamaica is a sign of disrespect.
We will not call it a sign of disrespect, but we will call it a sign of thinking twice.
Thinking twice.
Thinking twice. So African presidents are thinking twice. Is that?
They are thinking twice, and they send across a message. It's a message, not a. Sometimes you do something, it's not being disrespectful. It's passing across your own message.
Idriss Deby was a patriot. We say, may so also rest in peace, Idriss Deby. We shall now be focusing on Germany and Cameroon. They actually made it clear that the Cameroonian problem should be solved by Cameroonians, no foreign intervention. But before we come to that, with the collaboration of Ledu, can we please have the press review of the week?
Good evening. Welcome to the Republican. What the newspaper stand has for us this week. The Horizon says Sonara is most indebted public state company. Minister Asheri Kilo Fonon saw raise Cardinal Tomi to high heavens. Bishop Michael Bibi issues disclaimer on fake Facebook account. BRS resuscitates through Jonathan Santa's last man standing. Numfoniko Haled pens glowing tribute to Cardinal Tomi, Fako Big 40 COVID-19 vaccine. Cameroon Tribune comes to the issue of COVID-19 and insinuates the implementation of security in order to curb the virus in the country. While the Guardian Post says it's in your interest to live in peace in your host nation. French MP urges AU to discuss Anglophone crisis. Enterprises upgrading office hands international certification to multi-print. Bia says from Mukete's legacy, inspiration for nation building. These were the stories and more you get from the Guardian Post this week. Le Jour speaks about where money is going to and talks about and Coton Sport that takes second position in their game. Mutation speaks about electricity, which is no longer existing. And in our economy news this week, L'Économie quotidienne began to uplift its economy in 2021. The Voice newspaper, after 5 years and over 70 adjournments, military court grudgingly delivers mutilated verdict. Cardinal Tomi forever inundation with eulogies, tributes from across the globe. While the Guardian Post comes back to speak about Tomi's embarks on eternal journey, buoyed bid farewell to a legend, Christian Cardinal Tomi. UN says urgent action needs to end soaring food crisis in northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon. Le Quotidien Realities talking about football, Fcfa food convention that charms the football in the nation as most paperwork was carried out this week. Eco News reports about 1,454 billion francs CFA to revive the economic system by the state of Cameroon, especially 7 public companies in the country. Municipal updates, world bids farewell to Cardinal Tomi. They come back with the story. Minister Tazon recalls Tomi's uniqueness in rare peace. While L'Économie quotidien reports Northwest and Southwest region food situation is a call for concern and need urgent attention. Integration talks about COVID-19 sailing in the country and Cameroon journalists to mobilize forum in order to talk about the virus. The Guardian Post comes back to report about Chadian president who dies after shot at war front. Cameroon's first lady dies in Senegal at 89. Military arrests Amber General suspected of attack on Mancon Palace. Multitude bid Cardinal farewell goodbye. Le Gideon says President Biya takes special security measures, deploy forces to border with Chad. Cameroon Tribune comes back to talk about Paul Biya, who honors the memory of a brother, and the nation honors fallen prelate Christian Cardinal Tomi. And the Sun newspaper says Ifaka dies, was vice president of the National Assembly, Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, CPDM Permanent Divisional Delegate of FACO gave up the ghost Tuesday at about 8 p.m. 3 days after celebrating her birthday. Tomi goes home in simple wooden coffin, and the Republican crew joins the nation to say, may the souls of the faithful departed rest in peace. Fundi does not sleep as a result of Joshua Osi in all their squabbles. The Aju comes back to report about the fallen president Idriss Deby of Chad and Germain Aidjo, who dies in Dakar in Senegal. It's worth noting almost all the newspapers on daily basis this week captures a lot of funerals with the passing away of great men and women in Cameroon. The newspaper stand this week wouldn't have been completed without the Post newspaper, which reports government stoops payment of VIP prisoners' medical bills. Uncertainty looms after Deby's son unconstitutionally succeeds him. Former First Lady Germain Aidjo buried near husband in Senegal. Meanwhile, the Guardian poll say dramatic exit of emblematic Anglophone lawmaker. 23-year-old develops technology to solve electricity problem in rural areas, while the Blimbe population marvels as wave dump shack on beach already dead. And the Horizon reports this week that the Ngote government leads by example after taking the COVID-19 vaccine in order for Cameroonians to emulate the good example as a result of government actions in the fight against the coronavirus. While Emergence reports about 5 million persons who becomes victims of food insecurity in Cameroon and over 30,000 medical kits seized in Idriss, 6,000 test COVID-19 contraband kits seized in the southwest region. These were the stories the newspaper had this week in Cameroon. Until I come your way again, welcome to the Republican.
Of course, welcome to the Republican debate. We say thank you. But there is a Guardian post that said somewhere during the week that it is your own interest to live in peace in your own country. That is a powerful message.
It's a powerful message, and it's a complex one as well, Mr. Tavi. When a rat runs out of his hole, it's not because its hole was not comfortable for him. When you burn paper and you send it to the rat's hole, the rat is forced to run out. A lot of Anglophones per se are people who never love to travel. They always like being entrepreneurs. That's why you could hear Northwest and Southwest so developing, because they do their day-to-day businesses and they like challenge in a positive way. If you can see most of them in Nigeria, or most of them using the Mexico road and dying in waters because they need to go to America to seek for asylum, it's not because they want it. It's because the security measures for their staying is not still guaranteed. So that is a statement that I take it like a coin with two sides.
Home is home, eh?
No
matter how home is.
Tabi once when a woman seeks for divorce, or a man seeks for divorce, it's not like he couldn't stay. If it doesn't work out well, if you know that your head is going to go on the line, if your head is on the line, you run for safety. There are some times that for now, for me, Yaoundé is not my hometown, but is my safe base for now. If Northwest should have been secured, this is weekend, I should have been probably traveling yesterday.
But Yaoundé is Cameroon. Yaoundé is Cameroon.
Yaoundé is Cameroon, but it's not Bamenda. Bamenda is my safe place. It's where I believe I can run to the farm and I get cocoyam without buying it.
We are talking country, we're not talking town.
It all depends on the context. It's on the context.
It is in your own interest to live in peace in your country. Do you share that opinion of the Guardian Post?
Yeah, that is a very strong message to Cameroonians, especially to our own brothers and sisters from the Northwest and Southwest, who thought that maybe they were living they were suffering, but they have now come to realize that it is better to eat your cocoyam in peace than to engage yourself in war because maybe you need you are looking for money or whatsoever. Now, for example, whatever be the case, when you people are in a stable country, whether you are doing your Okada or whether you are going to your farm in your peaceful family, peace does not have any price. That's why I really like that message, because it is really the backbone. Peace is the backbone of any community development, of any stability and any prosperity in a society.
Can we have our topic, the last topic on the screen? We are talking, of course, the Anglophone crisis and this call from Germany. Germany says no to any foreign intervention. What do you have to say about that? That's the Anglophone problem is a Cameroonian problem, and that only Cameroonians themselves should actually solve this problem. Did you share that opinion of Germany?
Yes, I share that opinion at 100%, because that's why when we looked at the other wars of secession, being it in those democratic countries, we have the American War of Secession, we had wars of secession in France, we had wars of secession ongoing in Spanish with the zone of Catalan and all that. They have never accepted any foreign intervention, because when they talk of secession, it is an internal affair. That's why we don't think that any foreign country should come and put disorder and intervene. Cameroonians are the ones to sit together. That's why during the major national dialogue, Mr. Deby, the head of state sent envoys to these foreign countries, Germany, England, South Africa, USA, to go and call for our brothers and sisters who are there that they should come for the major national dialogue, so that let's sit together and talk about our own issues. We know it is good for mankind, and it's normal for mankind to ask for better living condition. And the people of the Northwest and Southwest wake up and ask for better living condition, equality in the distribution of properties, equality in language, and it was of normal. But taking arms and engaging themselves in engaging war and other was not beneficial. That's why during the major national dialogue, other people were asking for the third party or the fourth party. Or a third party is not necessary, because this is a Cameroonian problem which has to be solved by Cameroonians.
Do you think Cameroonians are mature enough to solve their own problem?
Yes.
To solve the Anglophone problem?
Yes, Cameroonians are mature enough. For example, I'll still come back to the example of the major national dialogue. During the major national dialogue, all the components, all the actors of our societies were invited. Bayam Salas, teachers, trade unions, civil society, politicians, all those who have positive contributions to give. There was an online platform that was put in place, I think, by the Prime Minister, in order to have any contribution, any positive contribution, any contribution on the solutions on the ongoing uprising. The contribution of all Cameroonians were needed, and I think that at this time.
But many people thought that after the major national dialogue, things would change.
Many things changed, because sincerely talking, when we look at the intensity of the crises that were in the Northwest and Southwest before the major national dialogue, and we look at the rate at which things are going after the major national dialogue, objectively we can say that yes, many people, many of our brothers and sisters have decided, they have dropped their weapons, have joined DDR centers, and are now allowing our other younger ones to go to school, to go in the primary school, those in secondary school. Because when we look at the number of schools that are open, especially for this 2020 and 2021 academic year, when we look at the number, at least it is considerable than it used to, than 2020.
The situation has come a little bit. There is relative calm in the field. Be it in Boya, be it in Bamenza. We are talking the Anglophone problem. Germany says no to foreign intervention. What is your take on that?
When last were you in the Northwest?
Please answer the question. You are not the one asking question.
Deby Clarkson, to get the reality on fuel, you need to go to the hinterlands. You don't just go, you turn around Commercial Avenue, you come back to Yaoundé, you think things are fine. After the national dialogue, the thing has skyrocketed. After the national dialogue, that's when those guys learn how to turn amocas. That's when those guys learn how to turn those blindays. Meaning things are not going the way they are supposed to go. We are Anglophones, let's be honest. This is a platform for us to pass across message for those who can take actions to take action. Things have rather gone worse as from information I'm gotten from the terrain on the regular army and the separatist fighters. Boyo is completely deserted. That's where I come from. Even up station, you go to Banja up that way, is completely deserted, which is still up station where the governor resides. Where is a little bit secure is the custom junctions and up the gendarmerie camp up, where is seriously militarized. Schools have been burned down, hospitals have been burned down, and we say things have changed. Things have not changed.
Wonderful.
The situation is permanent. Let us speak the truth. Let's be realistic. I get information day to day on the field, and I also take risks. I go down to the field where my compound is, Mr. Tabi Clarkson, is up station. A little bit of the outskirts where the governor is. I cannot live there because of insecurity.
So nothing has changed.
Things have rather worsened because the aspiration of the Anglophones after the national dialogue have not been attained. They believe by now a lot of propositions that we left there and we're telling them this is how it's going to happen. They believe by now all those things should have been put in place. But as it is always the case of the slow, sluggish nature of our government to implement activities.
So there is no schooling in also.
What do you call school that people go to school on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday? There is no school. Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, no school. You hear lockdown or 1 week, 2 weeks lockdown. There is no child going to school. Is that education? Does that happen in Douala or Yaoundé? Is that what we call education? I have my child in the north.
No, because you said all the schools were being burned down. That's why if you can
most
accept,
I say most of the schools.
That's the same thing I was saying.
Yes.
I said when we talk of the number,
how can CPC be attacked? All those schools attacked.
When we talked of the numbers of schools that were operational in 2017, for example, when we make a comparative study. That's what I said.
It is not the implementation of the national dialogue. It is the frustration of the common man that has pushed him to say, okay, I will take the bullet. I will not continue keeping my child. Let my child go to school. Even if it just 1 or 2 days, let my child go to school. The question is, has the recommendation of the national dialogue or after the national dialogue changed things for school to resume? I tell you, Tabi, no. Honestly, I say no. Let me know. You were talking.
I have a question for you. Yeah, after that you tell me which.
I'm not the one asking questions.
Yeah,
so you can't be asking me a question.
You tell me which recommendation of the major national dialogue has not been applied clearly.
A lot of them have not been implemented.
For example,
a lot of them have not been implemented.
For example,
I was there. We were not talking about.
If you want to list you all the ones that have been implemented.
We were not talking about national. We were not talking about special status. At the national dialogue, we didn't talk committee. We didn't talk about special status. We talk about complete federation. And one person say, okay, we cannot use this word federation because the administration, we don't want to hear about federation. Let's use a better word. We said, okay, special status. Is that federation? Is that naming around going down the place? Is that federation?
But it was special status that was finally agreed.
It is a word that was used.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Non-federation. Special status.
Special status was a word that was used to replace federation.
Yes. Special status was the one that
I was inside that house.
It was adopted.
No, I was inside that house. It was not adopted.
It was adopted and not federation.
There were written that document when we had already left the hall.
Special status was adopted. Is that?
Yeah, not federation.
Were you there?
Not federation.
Were you there in 15 or 20 or 30 years? I will see the opportunity. I was in that commission, and when that report came out, we had left.
Kingdom, we are talking the Anglophone problem. Germany is saying no to foreign intervention.
Yes.
Do you agree that we should not have any foreign intervention?
Germany is saying no because when you take a case to the police station and the enquêteurs discover that you complaining, you are not truthful, and even the person you are complaining about is not truthful, he tell you people go away because there is no way for him to handle your case. So most of the Anglophone elites that have been corrupt, that have been bought over, that cannot speak the truth, that live on money in their pocket, They will not even chop at the end of the day. Germany had contacted them. What do you think is this? What do you think? This is what people are saying. Do you think it's true? The information they get is not the information that Germany also sees. And for Germany to be neutral about it, and for Germany not to be pointed to be pointed at the end of the day, the people who let people this way or this way, they say, okay, you handle your matter internally. It's the same as you take your wife to social welfare. You take your wife to social welfare and you're complaining your wife is saying the same thing. The social welfare officer at the end of the day is going to say, please, people should take this thing to a family. Take it to your family. This is a family matter. Go and solve it in there.
Personally, do you share that opinion?
I share the opinion because those Anglophones that they believe, those Anglophones are the forefront who are still those CPDM people. They will not speak the truth to Germany. They will not tell the Germans that we are not fine. There is a problem. Because they are fine, they will go and say, don't worry, there are some few people don't want to disturb because they are hungry or whatsoever. Some few people are not hungry. There is something that is not going on right. And my brother, believe me, you know it. You know the truth. We, the Anglophones, have never been treated well. There is a percentage of respect we deserve. There is a percentage of the national cake we are asking for. That is all. We are not asking for somebody's head. We don't want somebody's head to be cut off. We want that at the level of ENAM. When the results have been published in ENAM, you go through it, you read. I don't say the Anglophone should have 50% and Francophone 50%. No, because the population is not the same. But we deserve a reputable percentage that will back up the administration. That I know that if I go into this office, I will meet one Anglophone that I can speak English and he or she will understand.
Okay, let's come back to the foreign intervention. You are saying that France, Britain, the United States, the United Nations, the African Union, that they should stay aside and allow the Cameroonians themselves to solve their problem. Is that?
Yes, exactly. All these international organs should stay apart and allow Cameroonians, because this is an internal affair. We saw what is happening or is ongoing in Ethiopia. There is a war of secession that recently started in Ethiopia. The Ethiopian government clearly said it, that they don't want to see anybody set anything on their own. They directly use the military solution. We saw even here in Nigeria, our neighbor, during the Biafra war of secession, they directly used military solution. Where Yakubu Gowon was the president in those days, he directly used the military solutions in order to quell down the secessionist struggle there. But here in Cameroon, when we look at the way the head of state has managed this crisis, he first of all created a center. Where have you seen a center? A center? It really shows that the head of state has goodwill.
Know your history. Know your history.
Please.
You are talking about Gawan. We are talking about a wedding that has not been working well. You are talking about a wedding that somebody has the right to say, no, I'm not comfortable again in this marriage. I want to go me away.
Please, the fact is that
you're bringing in Nigeria
the common denominator is that all those things are wars of secession. Are we together?
Southern Cameroon has been an independent country.
Please, are we together? The common denominator is that they are all wars of secession. I will not come back in the history of Ethiopia and the zone, the region that is the state that is asking for secession. I will not go into that history. When being in the war of American secession, those things always happen like that. But when we take the case of Cameroon, I want to talk on the way the crisis is being managed internally. We are all here in Cameroon and we are observing everything. The DTR Center has been created. A session in the ENAM common law has been created. Bilingualism Commission, because the head of state said, yes, what they are saying is very true. It is pertinent. A commission for bilingualism should be put in place to coordinate and make sure that all the services, the both languages are equally used. We had this Owada text that was translated. We have many things. It really shows the goodwill of the government.
You are saying that we should not call France, we should not call America to come and help us. For example, if your house is on fire, will you not call your neighbor to help you?
If you have the firefighter, or if you have the capacity, if you are capable of extinguishing the fire, you are saying, what will you be calling the neighbor?
Mr. Tabi,
if your house is on fire,
what has the Musonga Commission done? If I set an exam now, I say, oh, on 20, write me what the Musonga Commission has done that has created an impact in resolving the Anglophone crisis. What will you write down? I'm coming. It's a rhetorical question.
Okay.
When we come back again, you say, okay, there was a concours launch at ENAM for Anglophones to come in. Mr. Tabi, there are Anglophones who are still same time Francophones. There are Anglophones who have been, we call it le mise en valeur in history. You have people that you change them to copy your same history, your same character, and they operate same like you. Go to the concours that was launched at Enamde. Look at who are the children. The children in that, who are they? They are still the children of these same CPDM muggles who are controlling the system that I instead I call them two Francophones. Is there any lay common man, a truck pusher who left SWA with a master's degree that wrote that concours and passed? No, they are only the same children.
And what is the matter? Please, what is the matter? The matter is that it means that if you are in the CPDM, if you are from Boyo,
allow him to ask the question.
Yes. If you are from Boyo and you are from the CPDM, if your son is passing the concours of Enam, it means that you are not more an Anglophone because you are a CPDM militant.
You are not getting what I'm saying. The people complaining are the common man who has got no string attached, who had got no connection to call and say this is the receipt of my son.
Which instrument? You put that name? Please, which measurement instrument? Which measurement instrument have you used? Have you used to measure and to know that the common law session that was launched in Enam, no commoner was there?
Yes, I don't want to call names because of I don't want to arrest people because I can be sued because I call people names.
We are on the serious platform.
You go get that document. You go get the results for that concours in Enam, and you will see.
Let me ask
you. No commoner in.
Yeah, do you want to tell me that just the children of those Mughals are intelligent?
Let me ask this question. I know of a truck pusher who passed Enam, I think 4 years ago. It's possible.
What's his name? I'll do a
Now you don't call names.
I know of the truck pusher's name.
I know of a motorbike rider who wrote Enam and he succeeded.
Yes, he was riding bicycle.
Yeah, I know.
Yes, if you ask him, he's going to tell you that I met the one woman. She's a director of this, and the woman said I should come. We met.
Now are you saying
that if your father is from the CPDM, you should not pass Enam? Is that what you are saying?
No, that is not what I'm saying. Okay. There are also when I talk, I precise. I say the CPDM Mughals. Those CPDM are the helm, because you still have CPDM down there who are crying every day, and they recommend them that power will not work for this thing since now 40 years and they can't die. You know, go take the picking self put down for police. When you listen to such statement, what does it mean that this man can just take this man a position anywhere, which is the reality of pro? And my brother, where we are now, Tabi, what we are doing is being documented. In 15 or 20 years time, your son will say, Daddy, look at you. Look at what you are saying. You should have done something for something to change. You protected something.
Are you saying that we should not call France and all those countries to come and help us?
Who is France? Talk about the United Nations. Who is France? France is part of our suffering. France is the one behind Enam. Enam is where France brainwashes administrators in Cameroon and put them to implement its motives in Cameroon. What is France?
We should not call France. We should not call Britain.
Yeah, I clearly gave you my reasons, because I clearly think that this country is owned by Cameroonians, and our internal issue should be solved internally, because we had a war of secession in France, for example, with Corsia. No internal force was involved. French people were the one who sat together and said, okay, how can we handle this issue? They were the one who handled it. I think that in Africa in general, it's not even the point of Cameroon, we should stop this type of behavior where the listing, France is there, the listing, the United Nations, the listing, the UK, we should stop this type of behavior, because when they have their own matters, no African country is represented there. We should learn how to handle our issues internally, and we are mature enough. 60 years after independence, I think that
when Cameroon will have its own currency, when Cameroon will have its own currency, when Cameroon will believe it's independent. Do you think, Mr. Tabi, you think that if you are going down there, you see His Excellency Paul Biya and Madame Chantal fighting there, will you have the courage to go and separate them? Will you tell me your truth?
What has that come to do?
No, let me come. I want to go somewhere. I am taking you somewhere. You are talking about France and Croatia. What has Africa got to put? What will be looking at Africa? What would they do? Those are big people fighting. The only layman can observe. What will you go up there to do? But Cameroon is being considered, Cameroon, Chad and all that, they are considered as their children. They always refrain for them.
So are you asking her for foreign intervention or not?
The only foreign intervention that I will request, Mr. Kingdom Prince the Kafa, is the United Nations. Though the system also has been memeing with the United Nations in such a way that the truth and the genuinity in handling the matter has been delaying. But believe me, one day somebody will be sent who will not believe in bribery and corruption and will handle things accordingly.
Who are the actors then to sit down and dialogue?
The actors to sit down and dialogue is that in the Charter of the United Nations. The United Nations does not intervene in internal affairs of countries. If there is something concerning Cameroon and Nigeria, Cameroon and Chad, yes, the United Nations can come and say no. Yeah. The boundary was
Sudan. Sudan not Sudan. Please, say that. How was Sudan separated? How was Sudan separated? Don't give people false information. How was Sudan separated? Was Sudan a separate country?
Please. A country is Cameroon, for example, is independent, and the United Nations does not intervene in countries' internal affairs.
How about Sudan? So give me brief me on Sudan.
you are laughing. You are not the one asking questions here.
Oh, you see, I'm not asking questions. But so you ask me questions, I don't ask you questions. Brief me when you say United Nations does not intervene on internal affairs. This man, the man on
what the bottom line?
The man who was just released. The man was just released. The international court.
The bottom.
Bagbo.
The bottom.
Who took Bagbo?
Is the International Court of Justice.
What is the International Court of Justice?
Is that a United Nations?
It's part of it. It's part of it.
Anyway, the bottom line of what I wanted to say is that Cameroon. You ask for the actors.
Yeah.
The actors for now that are supposed to take part in the quelling down of is the Cameroonian government and Cameroonians. That is all the children of this country should sit together and say, okay, you did this to me. The other one should say, excuse. The other one say, you did it to me. And we'll see how to distribute it equally, and we'll look for a way through which we'll live in peace together.
If your house is on fire, you will not call your neighbors. That's what they are saying.
It depends. If it is a problem, if I have a problem between I and my wife, why is it that the neighbor will run and come and intervene? A problem between a husband and a wife, even if parents have to intervene, the problem will still be solved among the two at the end.
Your last word as we are moving, as we are going, your last word, Kingdom.
Tabi, let us first of all revert back to the document that the United Nations asked in the way after the referendum.
What was the which
was supposed to be a report. That was supposed to be a report. The Republic and English Cameroon. That report, where is that report? We need to see the resolutions that were written in that report. What was not supposed to be touched? What was supposed to be touched? We need to revert back to that document. Then we'll know if it's a problem that needs a third party to come in and sit and say you cheated or you didn't cheat. And then we know from there forward who, if we need somebody to observe now that no, we don't want anybody to cheat the friend. That is so you understand.
We have 1 minute. Your last word.
My last word is I will always remain loyal to Cameroon. I pray for a peaceful Cameroon. I pray for a Cameroon where I will be able to go back to come without calling to find out if those children are on the road. I wish to go back to Cameroon to find out that have they called that they will be locked down. And I also pray for Mr. Bia. I pray God to give him long life so that he can stabilize back this country before anything happens, because if something happens, believe me, we are in problems.
Tumi has gone, Frunzi is left.
No, Frunzi still has time. If you could follow Frunzi has already retired from active politics. And I urge all the other politicians who have aged like him to retire from active politics, and so that my brother, who is also a vibrant, somebody with good idea, can also fit into their shoe and change Cameroon for tomorrow.
Change Cameroon for a better tomorrow. Sangu, your last word before we go.
My last word, I will finish by giving my condolences to the family of Jermaine Aijo, who died of a recent. May her soul rest in perfect peace. And I would like also to call all Cameroonians. I would like also to call here all Cameroonians to come in with positive contributions in order to solve this Anglophone crisis, because many people have been suffering. Many people are have suffered. People have suffered a lot because of this crisis. We want our Cameroon to become stable as it used to be, to come back, to get back the peace and the tranquility we used to know.
Okay. Home is home. Cameroon is Cameroon. We say thank you for watching. Take another appointment same time next week on the same frequency. We say thank you to all. Thank you to management. Well, till then, may God continue to bless the Republic.